Hello everyone, welcome to Vishesh Educational Videos. So in this video, I'm explaining the concept of local scope and global scope. So when explaining the local scope and global scope, I also explain what is a local variable and a global variable because local variable and global variable concept also comes under the local scope and global scope. And also along with that, we are explaining one more statement, that is global statement. Suppose if you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. To get the notification of my new videos, please click the bell icon. So don't forget to like the video and please don't forget to share the video with your friends. So let me begin the explanation of local scope and global scope and also global statement. So whenever you create a function, right? Whenever you create a function, whenever you use a variable inside that function, right? Based on that, we can categorize that variable as a global variable or a local variable, or whether it is having a local scope or a global scope. Okay. So parameters and variables that are assigned in a called function are said to exist in that function local scope. Variables that are all assigned outside all functions are said to exist in a global scope. The variable that exists in a local scope is called as local variable, while variable that exists in a global scope is called as global variable. So let me understand this with an example. So in this example, you can see here, I'm creating a function. I'm with a defined statement, that is function f is defined here. So this function contains a variable s, and that variable s is assigned with a string I love Python. So and I'm after assigning the string to the variable s, I'm printing the s, right? So what you should understand here, whenever you create a function, whenever you use a variable that is inside the function, that is here yes, that is inside the function, will having a local scope, by default. Whenever you use a variable inside the function, that variable will have a local scope. So whenever you try to print that variable yes, that is inside the function, it is going to print I love Python. The output of this function is I love Python. Why? This is a local variable. You are creating a local variable. Here, yes is a local variable. Right? Whenever you call a function, it will be created. So you can observe here the particular print statement s is inside the function f. So that is possible. The local variable is created and it's printed. See this second example. This is a error. So here the s is in the local scope. So variable that is in the local scope is also called as local variable. That is the local variable. So here see, here this is wrong. Why? So same code, but the only thing here is I'm trying to print the variable as outside the function. That means after the function returns, after the execution of the function is completed, I'm trying to print the yes, that is outside the function. This is error. You can't do that because local variable, right, scope, local variable scope is going to be deleted, right, once the function is executed. Here the local variable f scope is deleted once the function is, right, once the function is executed. After the function is executed, if you try to print that local variable, it will print an error. Okay, because the local scope will be there until the variable is inside the function. Once the function execution is completed, the scope of the local variable will be lost. Okay, getting my point? Suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section because these concepts are a little bit tricky. Okay, but the only thing what you have to remember is a variable must be one or the other, that it cannot be both local or global. Either variable can be either local or it can be global. At a time it can't be local and global, right? When a scope is destroyed, all the values stored in the scope variables are forgotten. For example, in this case, when the whatever the value that is used here for yes, whenever it comes out of the function, the scope, the value, whatever stored in the local variable, that will be lost, right? There is only one global scope and it's created when your program begins. But global scope when is created, when it will created whenever you create a program. But local scope when it will be created whenever you create a function. Whenever you create a function, automatically the local scope will be created, but the global scope is created whenever you create a program, right? That's why a local scope is created whenever a function is called, but global scope is created when your program begins. Hope you're understanding, right? Suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section. Okay. So scope matter for several reasons. Scope matter for several reasons. Why? What are the reasons? So code in the global scope cannot use any local variable. Obviously, whatever the code that is present in the global scope cannot use any local variables. Only code in the local scope can use local variables. I told you. So here, this is global scope. This can't use the code in the local scope. Okay. However, a local scope can access global variable, but local scope can access the global variable, right? Local scope can access the global variable. Code in functions local scope cannot use variables in any other local scope. Yeah, this is very important. One local scope variable cannot use the variable that is present in the another local scope. That is not possible. And one more important thing, we can use the same name for local variable also, variable and the global variable also, right? It is possible. Okay. So we can use the same name for different variable if they are in different scope. For example, if one variable is in local scope and another variable in is global scope, for both the variables I can use the same name. That is possible here, but technically it will be technically it's possible, but as a programmer we don't prefer that type of same naming to local variable and global variable. So this is the example for global variable. So here, these are the examples for local variable. You have seen that. So whenever you try to print the s outside the execution of the function, it's going to print error because s is a local variable there. So this is the example for global variable. So this function uses global variable. So for example, s. So you are defining the function f. So print inside function s. So here s is equal to I love Python. See, so f out print, you are printing outside function s. So you're printing the s inside the function also. You're printing the s outside the function also. See, so this is the example for the global variable. So yes, same yes, I love Python is printed. This is a inside function. Outside function, yes, I love Python is printed. So see, after the function execution also I'm trying to print the s because it's a global variable. It's a global variable. Global variable can be accessed because global variable have a program scope, not a function scope. Global variable can be accessed anywhere from the program. Okay, it can be accessed anywhere from the program. Okay. So local scopes cannot use variables in other local scopes. I told you, right? For example, see this example. When the program starts, the fam function is called. So directly you are defining the function spam. Directly it will go to the function call because spam function is called here. That's the last statement. That is the fifth statement. And a local scope is created. Whenever you call the spam function, local scope is created. So the local variable x is set to 99. See, this variable x is set to 99. Whenever you define the function spam, you call the function spam. Whenever you call the function spam, the variable x is set to the value 99. Next, then the backon function is called. See, now after that you calling the backon function, right? You are calling the backend function, and the second local scope is created. So like second local scope is what? So print print sorry, yeah, whenever you call the backend function, the second local scope is created. So the multiple local scope can exist at the same time. So for example, in this new local scope, and the local variable ham is set to 101. See, whenever you call the backend, the new local variable ham is set to 101, and a local variable x is set to 0, and is also set to 0. When Beckham returns, the local scope for the call is destroyed. But when a Beckham returns after that, the local scope for this ham 101 x0 is destroyed because you are calling a spam. So what is the value for x is printed means x is equal to 99 will be printed, not x is equal to 0. Whenever you call a whenever you come out of the beacon, right? When beacon returns, when beacon comes out, the local scope for the call is destroyed. The program execution continues in the spam. See, first it will go to spam. It will create the variable x and it will assign the value 99. But then when the beacon function is called, it will assign the values for this, and it will return. Once it returns, this local scope is destroyed. The local scope of ham is equal to 101, x is equal to 0 is destroyed. So yes, the execution still continues in the spam. So which value of x is going to print means x is equal to 99. So the x variable is set to 99 since the local scope for the call spam still exists. So beacon is destroyed, but the local scope for spam is still exists. So that's why the x is equal to 99 will be printed. That's why, right? The local scope cannot use variables in other local scopes. So see, the variables ham and x cannot be used. This is ham and x are from the another local scope beacon. This x is equal to 99 is from the local scope spam. They can't use it. Ham and x can't be used in spam. Hope you are understanding. This part is little bit tricky. Suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section. Thank you for watching the the comment section. Okay. Now, before saying thank you, I want to uh, explain some more concepts of local and global variables with the same name. Whether is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Yes, you can use the same name, but technically it's possible, but we don't prefer that. For example, see, here we are defining three functions here. All the three functions will have variable x, x, see, 1, 2, 3. So this is not at all good because it is confusing. So just don't do this. Just avoid this. We can't use same names for local variables, global variables. See, okay. Try to avoid the same name for local and global variables. You're seeing right? Three x variables are used here. For one egg is for local scope, one egg is for global scope. Three. The statement 3 is having a global scope. Statement 2 is having a local scope. So, but the variable x are same in both the cases. Don't use like that. Okay. So I already explained this. Next, I will explain what is a global statement. If you need to modify a global variable within a function, we can use the global statement. For example, see here, if you want to modify the global variable, if you want to do modifications for your global variable, how to do that means you can do that using a global, do that using a global statement. For example, see here, you're creating a function using a that is definition spam. You're defining a spam. if you have a line such as global x at the top of function, it tells Python that, see, global x, we have a statement global x. So Python understands that this global x refers to the global variable. So don't create a local variable with the name. So Python doesn't create one more variable x with a local scope, because you are using a word global x. That means Python understands that I have to create this variable x as the global scope. So using this global statement, I can create the global scope. So once Python see the global statement, it will understand my I should create the variable x with the global scope. So I don't create a local variable with the name. Okay. Okay. So I already told you. I already wait 1 second. So this statement. 1 second. 1 second. Sorry. So this the global statement. Whenever it says the global keyword or global statement, it will create the variable x with a global scope. It's not going to create one more, right? It's not going to create one more statement with the local scope. Okay, just remember that. So no local x variable is created. Okay, and one more thing, there are four rules to tell whether a variable is in a local scope or a global scope. What is that rules are? If a variable is being used in the global scope, that means global scope means that can be used, that variable can be used outside all the functions, then it is always a global variable. Then it's always a global variable. Next is, if there is a global statement for the variable in a function, it's a global variable. Just remember these three rules. What is the first rule? If a variable is being used in a global scope, then it's always a global variable. If there is a global statement for that variable in function, it's a global variable. Otherwise, if variable is used in assignment statement in that function, it's a local variable. But if the variable is not used in the assignment statement, it's a global variable. Now we will see this example, we will understand this, right? So all the four statement we will understand this. In the spam function, x is the global x variable because there is a global statement for x at the beginning of the function. See, x is equal to spam. This is global because we have a global statement. So if a variable being used in the global scope, then is always a global variable. First case. Okay. Next is second case. In background, x is a local variable because there is an assignment statement for in that function. So if there is a global statement, see here, if the variable used is an assignment statement, it's a local variable. See, x is equal to back on. So x is equal to back on means I used assignment statement. That's why this is a local variable. This is a local variable because I used a assignment statement. Global x, because I used a global statement, it's a global variable. X is equal to back on, I used assignment statement. That's why it's a local variable. Next, in am function, x is the global variable because there is no assignment statement. There is no assignment statement or global statement. See, ham, this is a global variable. Why this is a global variable? This is a global variable because, right, right, there is no assignment statements. I told you, if there is a global statement, the variable in function is a global variable. That's why there is no assignment statement here. That's why this is a global variable. Okay, our global statement is also not there here. That's why this print x is a global statement. Assignment statement is also not there, or a global statement is also not there. Okay. Lastly, okay, in a function, a variable with either always be global or always be local. So what I'm trying to say is, these variables either can be global variable or it can be local variable. At the same time, they can't be local also. At the same time, they can't be local and global. At least they should play any one role. At least they should play any one role. Okay. So if you ever want to modify the value stored in a global variable, okay, we must use a global statement on that variable. You already know that. Okay, we should use global statement. For example, right? This error, for example, this error happens because Python sees there is an assignment statement for x in the spam function and therefore consider x to be local. This is error. It is considering x as local, but your but because print x is executed before x is assigned, right? You are trying to print x. You are trying to print x before x is assigned anything. See, you are trying to print x before x is assigned to anything. That's why it's displaying a error, right? Okay, and Python will not fall back to using the global x variable. So it doesn't use global x variable. Why we are getting error means because Python sees there is an assignment statement for x in the spam function. So here assignment statement is there, see one. So that why it's considered it as a local variable, x as a local. But because print egg is executed before that, before the big egg is assigned, right? So Python will not fall back to using the global x variable. It doesn't use this global x. So that's why it is going to define. That's why it's going to display error. Okay. So that's it, guys. Hope you understood the concepts. These particular concepts are a little bit tricky. So suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section. Thank you. Thank you for watching the video.